Angelica Rodriguez, and this is my couple interview assignment. So, an introduction. EJ and SJ are in a heterosexual relationship with each other. EJ is currently 31 and he's a male, and SJ is currently 38 and a female. This couple met through a dating app Bumble.
How did you meet?
From
Her friend. Her friend introduced me. No, we met on Bumble.
From that clip was the first impression of the couple. I saw how right away he tried to answer first and really put this idea that they had met through a friend and was almost ashamed to say that they had met through a dating app, where she right away um was honest and open and corrected him immediately. EJ was born in Las Vegas. So, a bit of background in each of them. EJ was born in Las Vegas, and his idea of marriage stems from having examples of what a marriage should not be. Where SJ's was raised in El Paso, and her idea of marriage stems from her parents being married 42 years. She jokes at one point that they had been married so long that it was like they were born married. Currently in their home lives two adults, which is EJ and SJ, and two dogs, which is Matcha and Coco. And currently in their life cycle, they're in the middle age cycle with the goals of having a family. So the wild card that I wanted to ask them after looking at all the wonderful questions was, did they learn anything new from each other? I wanted to ask this question mostly because they really met on a dating app. It was really quick from the point that they got married. I want to say 6 months after meeting each other, they were married. And then they moved in together. And I was kind of curious that within these questions, were they able to understand or learn anything new from each other? So I want to show this clip of them answering this question, and really you get a gist of the dynamics of the relationship. I think it's pretty interesting to see how their parenting styles would be different if they have kids. Um, Another thing too is to see the dynamics, or I really want to show how majority of the interview went. So here's the part, and if you want to read along, I did not include every word, because I wanted it to be a surprise, but majority of the text is on the screen.
Did you guys learn anything new from each other after this interview?
I think we already talked about all these things before. I mean, other than like you telling me your imagination of like dropping kids off at the dorms, but yeah, yeah. I plan on just saying, "Here's your freaking plane ticket. Get the fuck out." But like that's just me. But I get it. I guess we can drive them to wherever they go. Probably some lame state school.
No, I think I think like ever since like our first date, like we have always been very like
Clear on everything.
I think because we met when we were like older, especially me, It's only we met when we were like 20 and you're like, I don't know.
So as you could see in the dynamics of the relationship is that EJ is describing a time where she, SJ, is imagining herself dropping off the kids in the dorm rooms and really thinking about her ideas of being a parent. When EJ responds, when it comes to his parenting, he is mostly like, wait a minute, I didn't think I would be dropping them off. Or you could clearly see that mentality of once they're 18, it's not my responsibility anymore. But we also see another dynamic or how the relationship is where you see where SJ is trying to answer the question, but EJ immediately tries to guess or cut her section or her sentence. And throughout the interview, this it was exactly how it was. Was EJ would answer first, she would try to answer, and then he would immediately either cut her off or try to answer or guess. And for me, I was a little bit hard because I kind of felt like, is it control? Is this how the relationship has always been? Um, is it because it's new and she's adjusting or he's adjusting to another different way of living? So I was curious about all those questions. But this one was the one that intrigued me the most, and it was able to present some of the concerns or some of the, not concerns, but some of the values that they have with each other. So, my interview impression. Throughout the interview, I was able to note that he was more comfortable than she was during the interview. And when I mean comfortable, I meant like he was always the first to answer questions. Now, looking back, I could tell you maybe it was a way to control the dialogue of the conversation. Um, Another thing is, for the most part, they were pretty happy in answering all the questions. It until we hit the pregnancy issue. And essentially what's happening is with their cycle of life right now, they're older adults, they're ready to start this new chapter of family, but it has yet to come. And oftentimes EJ tried to really express like an I can't wait until we get pregnant or it's gonna happen. Where SJ was more describing our biological clock and the reality, and how oftentimes or sometimes she felt this pressure, not only from her religious family, but our culture to have multiple kids and you have to have them from a certain time. So it's been hard trying to make him understand that too while remaining hopeful. And while conducting the interview, the time flew by quickly. I was pretty surprised to see that it was that easy going with both of them. Another thing is, from the couple's response, I was able to get that they were most excited about the family traditions that they were being asked. You know, she came from a family that went to church every Sunday, was very religious, was a close-knit family, where he didn't have any family traditions. So it was kind of interesting to see how they started these new family traditions, and she didn't continue some of the family traditions, but she made them her own with him too. For example, they talked about every Christmas they're going to start getting a new ornament every year. Every time they travel, they're going to bring one home. Another thing too is like he loves to travel, so they're trying to make it a goal to travel more. My favorite question was to ask about the family background because it gave me an insight of who they were individually. As stated, she comes from a quite large family, very religious. She went to church growing up. Her father was a pastor, where he grew up with a single mom. They first were in LA and then they moved to Las Vegas. But he kind of grew up in this era or mentality where he had to fend for himself, which led him to go into the military. And the military is really the only family or close knit that he has outside of her now. So, some of the similarities and differences. Some of the similarities, both were looking for a long term relationship. With this relationship, they also wanted to start a family. So when they talked about going on Bumble, they both described that they just wanted a long-term relationship. They were at that point of their life where they knew, I want to get married, I want to be with somebody. I really want to start this family because that's the chapter that I'm on. And once they found each other, they started having those conversations. If they both wanted that and they did align and they both found someone who was equal to them in that level. Another thing is that they compromise a lot. So although her family lives here and they visit her family a lot, he does make an effort to go visit his family too, and she drives and they drive 10 hours to go visit his mom in Las Vegas. Um, they also compromise when it comes to political views, religion, and they're very understanding with each other. For example, I mean, like I stated before, her father was a pastor. So, although he isn't a religious person, he does support her when it comes to her religion. Now, some of the differences was that SJ grew up with a dad who was a pastor and went to a local Baptist church. So, as I stated in the previous statement, EJ was not religious at all. So, that is one of the biggest differences when it comes to the religion. Another difference is that SJ has family support, whereas EJ has no immediate family support. SJ's family is literally they could drive around the corner and her family's there. She has her brother for support, her mom, her dad, the local church. Where EJ, although he was in the military, he really doesn't have that family or immediate support or anyone that he could trust outside of SJ. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the interview and I hope you have a great day.